Hey guys, we're back to another episode of Nerd Rant. I am Dr. Zombie, also known as Seth, and today I have somebody.
You have somebody in your basement?
Yep. Also known as my co-host.
Woohoo! JJK Junior Wolf. I guess I'm in your basement now. That's cool. Is your basement warm? Is it finished?
It might
Do you have
it might be more finished than yours.
We don't have a basement, my guy.
Exactly. Yes, you do. It's called grass.
Grass is the basement? Wouldn't it
Yeah,
be dirt
dirt
being
and
the
grass.
basement? Grass is on the surface level.
That's
Grass would be
true.
the floor.
When you place cobblestone above the grass, it does turn into dirt, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, Seth, what are we talking about today?
I don't really know. What are we talking about?
Well, this is another one of our famous, we made it up right before we started the podcast, so we're going to be talking about, like, buyouts, I guess, of, like, gaming companies, or, not companies, what's
Acquisitions.
the word? Yeah, acquisitions.
I don't
That's
know.
a
That might
much
be a
better
better word.
That sounds more official. Let's go with that. Acquisitions of gaming producers.
Studios and
Studios,
publishers and
yeah.
companies, etc.
All of this. So we kind of already talked about this a little bit in the past with like the Microsoft, Activision buyout, that kind of stuff. But we wanted to kind of look into that a little bit more today because there have been some rumors going around of Ubisoft
Some other
being...
things.
Yeah.
Just
some
other things. We'll get to those things.
Okay.
Now listen.
Sure. Yeah. Keep them suspended. I see.
This will also be one of those episodes where we will be doing research as we talk.
Yeah. So expect a lot of stalling and being like, you talk while I Google this.
So let's start with the big one. Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard. That happened. When
Yeah.
did that go through? Are we Googling? When does that start? Because that happened this year, but that's been going on for years at this point.
Was it this year? I thought it was technically last year. Like end of last year. Or maybe beginning of last year. It was last year.
Did it?
It's January now, Seth.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
years ago.
it's
2
January
years
now.
ago.
So, like, it started
Fair.
a little while back, but technically
The
I think
deal
they
was
only
announced in
finalized
January
it last year.
22 for $68.7 billion. And it looks like it was finalized on October 13th, 2023.
Yeah. So it was like over a year ago? Question mark?
Yep, year and a half or so.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's definitely been some, specifically in the Call of Duty space, some debates on whether it was good or not.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Like, I know you are mostly into, like, Call of Duty under those labels and stuff, but, like,
But there's some
I've seen
other
there's
ones
been
that
a
are
lot of
definitely
changes that people are,
iffy.
like, good or bad. Like, there's a lot of people who are supporting it, but also a lot of people who are being like, I wonder how involved they actually are. Because make note that Microsoft themselves said that they don't want to get too hands-on with a lot of what's there. They wanted to allow those studios to keep being those studios. They just wanted to be able to support them by being like the father of the studios, you know? So I know like King, they haven't really touched much, you know, Candy Crush, all that stuff. They're just letting them like, you guys are good at what you're doing. You're draining old mothers of their mobile app funds. So you keep doing what you're doing. They haven't really touched that a lot. But then going into like more of the gaming stuff, they said they wanted to revive a lot of old IPs under a lot of these studios that haven't really touched them. Like I know they said they technically wanted to bring back Spyro and Skylanders, and there was like one other one underneath Activision that they wanted to bring back. But yeah.
Not super sure which one that would be. Like, I'm just looking at the Google list, and it could be Crash Bandicoot, but they've been doing their own thing, and I feel like that's more PlayStation.
Yeah, it's
At this point, I'm not sure.
they just said they wanted to revive a lot of old stuff, and that was pretty much the extent of the involvement that they were saying they were wanting to have. But it's very obvious that since that acquisition, there have been changes in a good amount of these studios. Like we all heard about like the layoffs, but we also all heard
let's
about
start with the layoffs and just the because it sucks, but it does make sense. Like they just spent what is it? Total cost of $75.4 billion, which is the biggest gaming acquisition of history.
yeah.
You're gonna have to make changes. It does suck that layoffs happen, but they were going to happen. And if they were saying otherwise and you're expecting otherwise, then you're blind to the reality.
It's impossible to maintain all of that. And I do think personally that some of it was necessary, because I know for a fact a lot of studios these days, especially the big ones like Activision and Blizzard, have way too many roles that are just unimportant. And that's not to say that the people aren't good at what they do. It's just the roles that they're given are not worth having all of these extra employees for. So I think minimizing the amount of roles was a good idea. I do think, though, maybe hiring on some extra developers in certain roles would be beneficial. Like, we've talked about how Fortnite before, it would be great for them to just have sole teams for each of the modes instead of having one broad team that works on everything. It's like Activision would probably benefit from having like a team of people who work on each different Call of Duty franchise, you know, like a Black Ops team and then a, I don't know, Modern Warfare team.
Well, that is how it works.
There. But no, I'd like to have their individual studios, but maybe just make them those teams instead of like, because for Black Ops 6, they had like all of the studios come together, right?
So I've been seeing a lot of people, because a lot of people aren't happy with certain things with Black Ops 6, and it's like, 4 years, by the way, 4,000 developers, by the way. And I'm like, so with Treyarch specifically, yeah, they had these years. You gotta realize, though, I do agree, though, they really need some extra help, because Treyarch made Black Ops 6, but they also made Zombies for Vanguard, and Modern Warfare 3, and Ranked for Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. So they've been busy the last 3 years at this point making other games. Now, luckily, they weren't like directly involved. And in fact, after like 2 or 3 seasons of Vanguard, they just dropped Zombies because they had to, or Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, because they had to focus on Black Ops 6. So like they do have studios and teams and stuff. Like they have Raven, which is again a separate studio, but also kind of a different team that primarily works on Warzone. But they definitely need help in certain areas.
I just think it would probably be good for them if they went back and kind of, I don't want to say rename, because obviously the names are like their identity, and like this is Treyarch. We love Treyarch's games as opposed to I don't know, Anvil. I don't know the other ones. But
Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer.
Sure, yeah. That's what I was thinking of. Sledgehammer. I don't know why I thought Anvil. That's what I was thinking.
Well, Sledgehammer's good. Actually, more people are liking Sledgehammer as the best Call of Duty developer right now.
Dang, okay. But no, I think they benefit from like a re-identification. Like, have each studio assigned to a specific Call of Duty franchise. That way, it's not a case of we have 2 of them helping on this game, and we have 2 of them helping on this game. Just make each one big enough that it can support its own games, and then leave them be. And if you want to have them come together for a collab every now and again, you can, but it needs to then contain identities of both of the studios, not just be one of the studios helping the other, you know?
So, like, that's kind of how it was for, like, I don't know, 15 years?
It didn't seem like it. Like, from my perspective, that's not what it seemed like.
Until Modern Warfare 2019, it was by itself. There was very little help. Like 5 people helped and they made a skin. Like they were not involved. Like Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward were not involved with Black Ops 4 whatsoever. They did not touch it. Even if like very, very little. But for Modern Warfare 2019 on, they did. Cold War was more Treyarch. But that's also why lately a lot of people haven't been super happy, because they do feel very similar, especially Black Ops 6 having like doors and stuff in the maps and like tactical sprint, which is a Modern Warfare feature, which people aren't happy with. Because they're trying to make it more like that. Now, I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the idea, what if instead of having these teams make their own game, they focus on a mode? Treyarch does zombies the best. Have Treyarch do the zombies, Infinity Ward do the campaign, the Modern Warfare campaigns, and Sledgehammer do multiplayer. Because they listen, they take feedback, they add a lot of fun events and stuff. And then Raven does Warzone, and Warzone cut off, and it bees its own thing. I think that's like a really good way.
At that point, you have 4 different studios on every single game, because 90% of Call of Duty games have all of those modes, right? I know a lot of them technically don't have zombies, but some of them have like a version of zombies. Like I know Ghost had, what was that mech one?
Extinction.
Yeah, sure. Like, they all have those kinds of modes. So at that point, you'd have them all working on the same game anyway. So then at that point, why don't you just combine them all, have them be one studio, and then have the different groups of that one studio work on their individual modes?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that'd be the best way. Instead of having like a full studio, like definitely condense it down, do a team, and then have the people that are making Sledgehammer games just focus on multiplayer. Like, that is the multiplayer team. And then we can maybe keep the logo, like just shrink it down, but keep the logo because like that is their identity. Like, people know the Treyarch and Figure Sledgehammer symbols, logos, I should say. But
maybe change their names though. Like, keep all the logos, or even like you could find a way to incorporate them all together. Like, imagine like a shield, and you have the 4 different quadrants of like all the different logos. That could be cool.
Yeah, there's definitely things that can happen, but that's just Call of Duty. There's other things that happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's not what this is about.
No. Let's pull it back. Pull it back.
We went on a nerd rant, Seth.
We did. Let's talk about another one. Warcraft. How's Warcraft doing? Do you know anything about Warcraft?
You mean World of Warcraft?
Yeah. It just says Warcraft in the AI overview.
Wait, really? That's so weird.
Yeah, it says Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo. So Warcraft, according to Google. I don't know. It's still, is it kicking? I mean, I know it's around, and my one friend started playing.
I think it is. Like, I think it's like really
how
strong
big
right now,
is it?
actually. Like, apparently, so for anyone who doesn't know, I think it's like 25 years old at this point. Like, it started like early video games, and I don't know how many actual graphical updates
2004.
it's gotten over the years. I think it's ran on the same engine for a long time, but apparently its stories are still really good. And I don't know if you know this at all, but the like Mountain Dew gaming stuff that they have done came back this year with Xbox, and they did stuff with Diablo, World of Warcraft, and Elder Scrolls Online, I think. But you can like get a bunch of free stuff just by buying Mountain Dews for World of Warcraft, and people were like, "What? Why?"
Does seem a bit strange. All I know about World of Warcraft is this one guy that plays, and he's just is such a hypocrite. Like, he constantly complains about stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, he plays World of Warcraft like 24/7. I would play, however, the idea of having a subscription to just play the game itself is just, I think, a bit criminal.
Yeah.
It's free to play up to level 20, according to this Google thing. And then after level 20, you need a subscription, and it's like, I don't want to spend that.
That's why I haven't tried the newest Final Fantasy game, because technically I think I got it for free, but you need a subscription to actually play it, so I haven't tried it. I'm like, I'm not going to pay you, what is it, like $8, $9 a month to play a game that I own? Like, that's stupid.
And that's one thing, but when you add on to the fact that, especially for us as console players, you have to add on the PlayStation Plus, the Xbox Live, or Game Pass. Like, you're adding that on. Plus, in a world of today, we have Spotify, Netflix. It's just not worth it for an individual game that if I don't play enough, I am now losing money because I did not sink enough time into it. We already have battle passes and FOMO. Let's not add subscriptions.
Yeah.
Just to play the game. But it is kicking, because as of January 2025, it's an estimate of average of 256,000 players daily.
That's crazy.
256,000 in an 11-year-old game.
I think it's only on PC, too.
Not
I
11,
think, I'm pretty
21.
sure.
It is PC only. 21 years old.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. But, what's another game I wanted to talk about? Overwatch.
Yeah.
That's another one we can talk about with Microsoft. When did
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 come out, actually?
It was before the acquisition, I'm pretty sure.
Because I played around 22.
Oh, so like
yeah,
right
it would've been
before
before.
it was kicked in. Yeah. So
October, so a little less than a year.
yeah. So they are probably not responsible for that. It's hard to tell if they care about it or not at this point. Like, I think most people know Overwatch is pretty dead now. Like, it lost a lot of its player base when they switched to Overwatch 2. And then it lost even more when Marvel Rivals came out and kind of crushed it a little. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Microsoft even really cares about Overwatch at this point, because it's pretty much on its deathbed right now. Like, it's just kind of living out its last few days. until it has to shut down because nobody cares anymore. They still have events going, which is what confuses me, though. Like, obviously, we got Overwatch OG, and then we got, like, all these different collabs. Like, there's an Avatar collab currently.
Yeah, I saw that, which is pretty fire. And there's some other collabs that, like, I've seen in it, and it looks great. I think this is one of those cases where it is a very loud vocal minority. Don't get me wrong, I do not think Overwatch is perfect. I think it has plenty of problems, but I think it's saying that the game's dying or anything compared to what games... Because I think this is another problem with games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Overwatch, with people saying it's dying. Oh no, it's not at 5 million daily players. It's at 1 million. Game's dead. I think there are still plenty of people that play the game, because I do think I like the idea of role queue, and there's other things that I think Overwatch does significantly better. It's polished because it's been out longer. I think from what I've seen and looking through the Marvel Rivals competitive scene, I think Overwatch does it better. So I think there is enough to keep Overwatch alive. It's just from content creators and that loud Twitter vocal minority, it seems dead. I do think the reason the ratings are so low, though, is just because of Overwatch 2. I think we kept Overwatch 1 and we got all the updates we got now onto Overwatch 1. It would be better because we were waiting for 2 for that PvE mode that we never got.
Yeah.
I think that is one reason why the ratings are so low. Not because the game is bad, but because stuff happened like 2 and the PvE mode cancellation. But, that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I thought that was around the same time, but no, it looks like it just so happened. However, I will say some of the changes are probably from Microsoft, maybe? I don't know.
I think some of the changes may be on the financial side, like with the different purchases, and I definitely think the collabs are Microsoft's hand, because it's much easier to make a deal with Microsoft than it is to with, you know, what is it, Activision? No, it's Blizzard behind that one, right?
Blizzard.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same company.
Yeah, but it's easier to make a deal with Microsoft and have that kind of money and reputation than it is Activision
especially with
Blizzard.
The reputation that Activision Blizzard had, because they've not had a good one for years.
Yeah, but yeah, I think like the Avatar collab and the different stuff they've had recently is due to Microsoft as opposed to like the actual gameplay changes.
But then before we get to some of these other like supposed ones and stuff, let's also talk about like just Microsoft as a whole. Because I feel like Microsoft hasn't been doing great either. Just some very concerning statements, and just, you know, they've had their own layoffs. There was the whole Game Pass wasn't supposed to go up, and it did go up. But then also, I don't know if you saw, but especially right now, they talked about, there was a thing about AI, how they want to like, let me see. I know I tweeted to one of my friends. They want to use more AI from Microsoft themselves.
I mean, everybody wants to use more AI.
Everyone wants it. Microsoft CEO says AI innovation will help with game development for AI. I think long-term, as a company, we can bring the best of AI innovation, cloud innovation, console innovation, PC innovation to build the best games that can be enjoyed by gamers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, I know everyone can use AI. But
I don't know who it was, but I saw somebody from Microsoft talking about it in a video. They said the way they want to use AI is in the form of tools. They don't want AI to do the work. They want AI to make the work easier. So, like, imagine, like, hiring on, instead of you having... I can speak. Instead of you needing a developer that has all of these different coding languages memorized and knows how to work this, that, and that, you could just hire somebody on who knows how to work this AI tool, just like somebody who can use Photoshop or an editing program, and they can do just as well developing as somebody who learned these different coding forms. Sure, it's a little bit of a kick in the butt to the people that did learn those coding
it's still
forms,
a kick in the butt. Like, it's not better. Like, sure, that's better than generative, like, kinda, but it's still the same premise of they're refusing to pay the actual workers and finding workarounds with AI. Now, I do think there are benefits to AI, for example, AI upscaling and stuff, right?
They didn't say they wanted to not pay people. They said they wanted to increase like the available workers. They don't want less people working. They want to be able to hire more people because the bar is now lower for who they need to hire.
but then like the higher people that should be paid more because they have put more effort in aren't getting hired because they're hiring 3 lower workers. So now this person that did put all this time in to learn all these different coding languages just isn't as important anymore as these 3 people that know AI or know one coding language because AI can get the other coding languages for them.
I mean, we went through a similar change. I know it's not exactly comparable, but it was a similar change when, computers started becoming as good as they are now, like early 2000s kind of time. Things like animation and computer generation and stuff like that. All of that was kind of a kick in the butt to the artists that went to school to learn all of this stuff. But now look at our world. Like now, computer generation is even better than a lot of animation. Granted, animation is still its own unique form and it's still great, but we wouldn't have had like amazing shows on Netflix like we have today if it weren't for, digital animation and computer generation, especially even in anime and stuff. Like they use CG and they use digital drawing for that kind of stuff. So yes, it's a little bit of a kick in the butt, just like it was back then, but imagine what's going to come after. It might hurt now, but the world is going to adapt and there's good things that are probably going to come of it.
The reason I'm more worried about this, though, is the fact that with AI, if we train it too much, it will get to the point, and all these companies will get to a point where AI is their primary tool. And it will become generative. It will take jobs. They're saying that now, until we get like 1000% confirmation that that will never happen from like 15 different like court documents and like confirming that you will not lose your job in 15 years, I don't want these big companies blatantly saying, yeah, we're trying to use more and more AI. I don't want AI in these types of places.
I mean, they can't really, though, because like even if that becomes the case, right, and all of these companies rely on AI now, that is like, say, if that happens, 50% less jobs in the entire US. 50% less jobs means 50% less people making money. 50% less people making money means 50% less people buying things from shops and online and all of these different things. These companies will make less money because people don't have money to buy the products that they are producing. Therefore, they can't really rely on AI. They have to keep paying people. They have to keep giving jobs in order for them to actually make profits. So in reality, they can't just switch to AI.
One thing, the game would cost less, though. It would cost significantly less to make the game.
I guarantee you it would not cost less. I guarantee you they would keep it either the same or raise the price because they're companies and they're greedy.
Not to buy the game. Sure, buying the game will be the same. I'm saying to make the game, it will cost less because you do not have to pay 500 employees to make it. You could pay 10 bots, 10 AIs. You could pay 15, 20 employees that run the AI and they make all the artwork.
But if that's the case, there is less jobs, less people making money, and less people to buy product. Therefore, they are not making as much money on the product. Yes, it's a lower
but they're also
budget
idiots.
to make
Corporations are idiots. Corporations are idiots. There is so many logistical things that would stop that. But here we are with Microsoft and Activision, specifically Activision, blatantly like getting rid of voice actors and just hiring random new people because they don't care because of AI. This is how that's going to go. That is how this is going to go. They're going to lose people because either they directly lose them or they're realizing that they're not safe and then lose it because they're scared of what AI will do to their job. Because until we get protection on voice, like every time somebody's a voice actor for a Microsoft game, until we get protection that their voice will not be used to train an AI, I'm not excited. Like that, there needs to be these rules set in place now so we do not lose more people in other projects.
I don't think we're going to get those rules until it reaches a point where we can. Like once the AI is smart enough to actually be able to do a lot of this stuff, people aren't going to realize how dangerous it is, and then once we get there, it'll be like, okay, we really need to put some stuff in place, and then the stuff will be put in place, and things will be okay.
It's too late, and it's already too late. Like, that's already happening. Like, that is how, like, the voice actor, like, multiple of the voice actors in zombies are. You can just hear them and they just sound like AI. Like, you can hear the loss of voice. Samantha, one of the characters for zombies, has been the same since War at War. For almost 20-something years, she has been the same, and she's now leaving. And you can tell whether it's a bot or someone else has lost it because of the AI. Because of AI. Like, it's already happening in huge franchises of long careers, and they do not care. If they cared, they would have tried to do something to keep this voice actor that had been with the company for 20 years. But they didn't. They do not care. They will get someone that is cheaper. That's how it works. And that is only going to get worse as more and more companies, whether that be Microsoft or Sony. I don't want Sony. Like, Sony's probably doing it too. There hasn't been a big claim like that, but they probably are too. I don't want any of these companies using AI, apart from maybe some kind of like tech. But even then, we look at Call of Duty again, and their anti-cheat uses AI, and it's horrible. It's atrocious, the amount of shadow banning and false banning and stuff. Like, AI is not there, nor should we train it to get there, because when it does, it's too late.
I feel like it's kind of hard to find a balance here. Like, it's either
don't
no
use it.
AI or
we just
you
went
have
2,000 years without using it. Just don't use it.
But then, where does tech advance? Like, how do we advance further in technology without making things better?
Our brains are better. Humanity's brains are better than computers.
Yes, but how do we advance technology? Like, technology advancing is crucial for society. So, if this is the next step in technology advancing, how do we not use it? Like, we have to advance further. How do we not use that but still go forward?
I think the big thing is switching more towards machine learning than AI, because that is different. I think we need to have more machine learning that has very specific paths and limited variety. I think machine learning on like autocorrect for text chat or like moderation type of stuff isn't horrible. But when it gets to the point where it runs anything in game, that's my problem. It should not do any artwork. It should not do any voice acting. There should be no things like all of that is art, and we're taking that away. Whether it be voice acting, game creation, there should be no AI in any of that.
But then what if a solo developer decides to make a AI of their own and, sell it to people, be like, hey, pay $10 a month and you can use my AI that perfectly replicates voices. That's a freelancer thing then, and everybody is now paying them. They become this big corporation and pump out AI constantly. Isn't it better that companies have their own AIs over this?
We just don't do either. Like, we shut that person down. Like, that's not... It's like, instead of paying $10 for this person, let's pay someone who is actually a voice actor and does the work, does the art, puts emotion into it.
But then what are you going to do? Are you going to make a task force specifically for people who are developing AI? Like, are you going to crack down legally on them? Like...
Yes, like, we set laws to stop that. We do protections, whether that be Hollywood or game studios. We do protections against AI. So anything under Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo cannot use AI for any form of art, whether that be voice acting or drawing.
But then where do we put that bar then? Like,
or
what
Steam.
Size company isn't allowed to use it? Because if I'm like a solo developer and I choose to use it,
none.
Is that illegal?
There should be no size. There should be laws. It should be like a federal thing. But
so
obviously they don't care enough.
It is completely illegal to use any form of AI in the US.
Because it is taking away. It should give rights and protection for workers, for the people that actually do put the work in.
What if I can't afford to pay a voice actor for my solo game that I'm developing?
Then you can't make the game.
That's crazy.
We've been doing this for 30, 50 years. And it's been fine. Don't find shortcuts. You're taking the emotion.
But it's not a
the
shortcut.
Passion out of it. It is. It straight up is. You are paying AI. You are paying a fake thing to do the job instead of paying someone that actually put the effort in.
Okay, what if you're not paying for it? What if you use an AI for free? What if I develop my own AI to do this for me?
Then someone does not get to do the job, and the project itself
But you couldn't
lost
pay
emotion.
them in the first place. If I am a broke college student and I'm developing a game and I can't pay anyone, what then?
Then you do it. Then
Okay,
you do
what
it
if I need another
for
voice?
free. Then you tweak it. You can change it. You can make it higher pitch. You can voice an entire game solo and make things sound differently without using AI. Is that the best? No, but you can do it without AI. We've done it before. It has happened for decades at this point. You do not need AI. AI does not help. It will only hinder and will only cause more friction in the gaming space and real life.
I disagree.
Then you don't care about the project. You don't care about the passion that actually goes into these projects. You're laughing. This is serious. These are people's livelihood. And you just said you do not care because AI will be easier in the future. Instead of these people's passion right now that should be protected, I'm going to find
what
a
about the
workaround.
people's passion who is AI? What about the people who have a passion for developing this kind of technology? Are you just like saying, no, you're not
Yes.
allowed to have that as a passion? You are not
Yes.
allowed to be interested in this topic at all.
Their passion is now hurting the future and everyone else. It is hurting everyone else.
Just like computers, just like when computers first came out, guess what? It hurt artists, it hurt writers, it hurt animators, all of this stuff. It hurt all of them. It hurt libraries, it hurt like all of these different people. It hurt them, but guess what? It made so many lives better. It changed the world. So what's
and not
saying
always
AI
for the best,
can't
because
do
we
this
lived
too?
2,000 years fine. And now look at what social media has, and our mental health has declined as a society because of social media.
But the
Yes,
world
it's good,
itself
but it also
has
has
improved.
so much negatives. It has so many negatives. And I do not see a positive of AI at all apart from the negatives, other than workarounds and making things cheaper, which is not a good thing. It will take away the passion for things like art. These people, sure, they had to learn a new tool, but they're still, the same artists are still able to do art just on a different platform. You could still make movies instead of on a camera, like old school camera, or instead of writing on paper, you're writing on a Google Doc.
What about for
AI is
accessibility? What if somebody makes a pair of earbuds that live translate every language into your ears with AI?
That's where machine learning could be
No,
good. Machine
with
learning
AI.
and AI is different. Then I don't want it.
Because machine learning
again-
can't tune to accents, it can't tune to pitches of voice, it can't do any of that. AI can.
It could. We would
It
have
can't.
to train
Machine
it.
learning can't.
It can. We train it with the accent of a certain language or dialect of our area.
But what
And
about
then we
the
have
individual
multiple-
person? Every individual person has a unique accent.
They do, but we absolutely can train these tools without AI. We
But it won't
absolutely
be.
can.
But it won't be good.
It won't be as easy, but we can. And that is better because here's the reality. Could that be good? Yes. But let's also look at what's going to happen if we do that. It is now listening to that voice and it is putting it in this system. That's how it works. It will listen to every conversation and then they can just copy your voice.
Okay.
No matter what so then no one's protected. If this person has these
Nobody's
AI earbuds,
protected anyway. There could be a camera
That's
outside
the
my house
problem.
right now recording me. Like, it has
That's
nothing to
the
do with
problem.
AI. That's just the reality of the world today.
Yes.
Like, nobody is protected,
but
and
let's
that is
stop
just
that
the
and
world.
let's try to add more protection by removing AI and remove the fear that it's only going to happen. Look at Sora. Look at all these like AI commercials and stuff. That's happening because of this. We have to stop it now. And just completely letting it just fly and just do whatever it wants is not going to be good.
I think, as most things in this world, there is a good use and a bad use for it. Yes, companies are corrupt and they're using it for bad right now, but I think it can be used for good and it should be used for good. So I think we just need to find those
We have
good
to outweigh the
things
good and
and
bad, and
support
the bad
them.
will outweigh the good significantly.
Only if you let it.
Significantly.
Only if you let it.
And we're letting it not right now.
We are
have
letting
to
it right now. You're correct. So what
it's
we need
not
to
gonna
do
get better.
is stop the bad so that we can allow for the good.
Or we just wipe it out, we continue, because we absolutely 1000% can move forward without AI.
Bro wants an AI genocide.
I do! AI is not good! It is hurting people. It is hurting our trust in things because of fake videos and voiceovers. It is taking away jobs. It is ruining the passion that people have because now, instead of looking at cool art, I don't know if somebody actually puts blood, sweat, and tears into that, or somebody who is at home put a few words into a generative thing, and now they're making money instead of the actual artist. Look at Fortnite. All these maps are copy-paste, they're not putting effort in, and they're throwing some generative AI thumbnail in, and now they're making millions. Instead of a person that actually has a full team, has put hours, and has created and drawn and done everything, made their own thumbnail, and they get paid $50. Because all this stuff, we're losing passion in game creation because of AI. AI does not have a place in media at all. In real life, there can be circumstances, but in media and all of these acquisitions in Microsoft and game development, AI does not have a place at all. At all. There's not a single place that they could not pay a real person that actually puts the effort in, that actually has a heart, and actually loves the job. That there's not a single place where AI should take that over. And that is all of game creation. There's not a single place where AI is good.
I don't think it should take it over. I think it should support it. But I think we should leave that topic here. We've both made our opinions clear because we are very off topic again. This is not an AI episode. This is an acquisitions episode.
AI. Acquisition AI. That's the title. There you go. Sony. Let's talk about Sony because we talk plenty about Microsoft. Sony.
Hi, Sony.
Guys,
how you doing?
This is why you listen to us, because we don't know what we're talking about. Do we talk about it?
Word.
So, with some other downsides, this might be a downside. This could be a positive, though. But we'll see. Let's first of all, before we say it, talk. I want to Google the amount that this company's worth.
What am I talking about? You said talk.
I don't know.
Do you want me to reveal it?
No, because I'm going to Google the amount first.
Okay. Sony is looking into maybe buying a company. This company is currently being Googled by Seth to find out their amount, though I imagine it's probably a high value. Jeopardy theme intensifies. Are you done yet? How long does it take to Google this?
Because I've completely brain farted, forgot how to spell the name.
Bro, it's 2 words.
And I forget how to pronounce it. How do I pronounce it? Bro! You could say it. My brain is fried. FromSoft. I'm thinking FarmSoft, FirmSoft.
Bruh.
I'm tired, okay?
Oh my word. FromSoft. Sony is looking into buying FromSoft. How much is their value, bro?
152 million revenue. No, that's not their value. Oh, because it's Japanese. That makes sense. It's going to be a little lower.
Probably. I mean, technically, isn't Sony Japanese as well? Like, the company?
Yes, but that's a company that also has the console. They also have movies. They're a much larger company than that just does one game franchise. No matter how big that game franchise is, I don't think they're going to beat Sony.
Probably not.
Or Microsoft.
Anyways, though.
But anyway,
what do you think of this? Do you think this is a good call or a bad call?
I think... I'm a Sony fanboy. I think people know that, but that is what I play. And I think this is the same thing as Microsoft and Activision. I think there are pros, but I do not think the pros outweigh the cons. Especially for Sony.
I think this is a terrible move for the console economy if they do this.
Yes.
Because if they buy
FromSoft... It
could be. It depends on what they choose. Based on Sony's actions before, though, I think if they bought FromSoft, they would probably try and turn at least the Souls games into console exclusives. And if they did that, they are sealing the fate for not only Xbox, but themselves. Because it'll bring it to a point where essentially everybody loves the FromSoft games, right? Like, everybody loves Souls games. I haven't played them myself, but I know they're highly regarded. So people would buy consoles for those games. They would buy them for all of these different Souls games. Imagine them being on PS Plus. You could just pay for that and play all of these different legendary games. If they bought it and made it exclusive, nobody would want an Xbox anymore. That's just the truth, right? Like, I love Xbox. I would buy an Xbox over a PlayStation anytime. But it's getting to a point now where I am thinking to myself, I kind of need a PlayStation. Because all of these games that are kind of changing the gaming space right now are almost all console exclusives. Like God of War, it's a hugely space-changing game. Like, people have been talking about it for a long time. Spider-Man, Last of Us just got an adaptation. All of these games are exclusive to PlayStation.
And even if they're not exclusive, they come to PC, not Xbox.
Exactly. So if I want to play them, I either have to have a PC that can handle it, which is a pretty high bar,
not right now.
or I need to have a PlayStation. And so even though I have an Xbox and I love my Xbox, I'm here asking myself, I should probably start looking at buying a PlayStation, even off of eBay or one without a disk drive. So it's getting to a point where it's like, if they do that, people really don't have a reason to buy Xbox, because Xbox is now on every platform. I can play it on my Fire Stick. So just buy a PlayStation and play Xbox Online. It will kill the console economy.
Yeah, because then it'd be console or handheld, which is Nintendo. Which, by the way, Switch 2 is the most leaked console. Apparently, the motherboard has been leaked. Pictures of the motherboard.
Bruh.
So it looks like quick little rant. This is going to be quick because it's still not confirmed yet. But, Switch 2 looks like it's going to be pretty much the same thing as Switch 1, except the internals, it looks like, could be up to the RTX 30 series.
But on par with, like, the laptop version.
Yeah, so it's going to be weaker, right? It's not going to be a 30, just like the PS5. Yeah. Sure, it could be quote-unquote 4070. That does not mean it is a 4070. It's a console.
But it could be on par with, like, my laptop right now. Like, I have like a 3-year-old laptop. It's around $800. But if this Switch has a 30 series power on it, it could be just as good as my laptop.
But you also got to realize that, like, you're still not really playing games. You're playing Nintendo stuff. So, like, their stuff, like, for example, I have Tears of the Kingdom, and it does not run well on my... It's not an OLED, it's an older one, but it does not run well on the Switch. So, like, if it can run their own games, a 30 series is crazy. Like, for Fortnite, right? We might be able to get to 60 FPS. It's capped at 30 still. So, like, it's going to be really cool. Little side thing. Also, back to Microsoft and Call of Duty. That also means, theoretically, we might be getting Call of Duty this year on Switch.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, so I do think it could be good because it also is the idea that PlayStation will have more money and we can get more money into FromSoft. But if they do the console exclusive thing, that's bad for everyone. It's gonna survive, right? Like like you said, like people will buy consoles for it. I mean, I think that's one reason why people are buying the PS5 Pro is for GTA 6 whenever that launches eventually. Yeah. But it's definitely going to be a nail in the coffin for Xbox. And it could do bad for FromSoft itself, too. Because people will buy it, but that does not mean everyone will.
Yeah, it really just depends on their intentions with it, right? Like, as we've said here, if they make it an exclusive, it's not a good thing. But if their plan is just to buy it and, rake in the money from all these crazy games that they put out...
Because it is valid. Okay, if they just keep it alone and they just own it, that's valid. That is making them money, and a lot of money. Right here, looks like they made around $103 million in 2023. Mind you, again, they make like 2 games, 1 or 2 games.
Which is crazy for just 1 or 2 games. Like, that whole studio making that much is insane. But it would certainly infuriate people, right? Like, I know for a fact that
by the way, Souls... it fell 29% in 2023 with $103 million. So that was 29% down from 2022.
Yeah. But I know for a fact that Dark Souls, especially, was mainly played on Xbox, like, over PlayStation. Dark Souls was very heavily, like, especially
Dark
in physicals.
Souls specifically, yeah.
Yeah, that first game was bought for Xbox. And so there is quite a wide scope of people that play these Souls games on Xbox. And so if it was turned to an exclusive, there would be outrage. Probably not a massive outrage, because, like, it's a video game, right? It's on consoles, whatever. But the internet would probably have some things to say about it, and that is slightly concerning, because with how on edge people already are with a lot of these acquisitions, I don't know, this kind of acquisition, especially with such a cherished franchise as the Souls games, it might actually get a little bigger than the past few have been.
I think what also is worrisome is Sony's treatment with Bloodborne, and we look at that. it does not give me hope for how they treat it, because it's still on PS4 only. It's not even like there's no PS5 patch. It's not on PC. It's not on Xbox. It is nowhere. There is no sequel, and that is arguably people's most beloved Souls games. Like, that is their favorite, and it's still locked on PS4. So if they don't care that much for that game, going forward, they easily can just have them make games, make them exclusive, and just not care. Just not put it out anywhere. So it could be good. I do not think it is a bad thing, but I do not think the cons, which is the exclusivity, outweighs the pros. That goes for the Microsoft stuff too.
Yeah.
What was it? I think it was Xbox. Or was it Disney? Wanted to buy Sega.
What was it? I think it was Xbox. I'm pretty sure.
Disney?
I don't think it was Disney. No. I think it was Xbox, because I remember Xbox had at one point when Sonic, was it the open world one? Sonic.
Oh no,
Forces.
It looks like Disney. There's this guy named Garrett,
Really?
who I get a lot of news from, and he does little jokes where he puts a face on the Xbox, and it's saying Disney cannot buy Sega. 4 days ago. So like this is more current. Something happened, but 4 days ago.
A lot of people seem to want to buy a Sega. Sega is one of those companies that I feel like is so weird right now.
Movies.
Because Sega themselves hasn't put out any big franchise games apart from Sonic at all recently, but they also have their hand in a bunch of different franchises that aren't necessarily theirs from what I understand. So it's like people could buy them, but heck, Sega could probably release a console of their own and make some pretty big sales if they chose to.
They got 2 Point Museum. Oh no, they did Metaphor ReFantazo.
Really? That was Sega? I guess
that was
was
Sega.
Huh. Dang.
Okay, so they got some. They definitely got some. For how many nominations they got? Persona 3 Reloaded. They have so they have some franchises that are still pumping out.
I don't know. Yeah, Sega's just in a weird limbo.
It is still weird though. It is.
I feel like
really
most
weird.
people, when they think those games, obviously we are a great example right now, don't think Sega. So it's Sega makes great games, but nobody knows it's Sega, so Sega doesn't get any of the credit for it.
Yeah, it's really the movies. That is the main thing, the Sonic movies. Another thing that people don't think about, did you see there's another console that was announced?
Wait, really? What?
Something's coming back from the dead. It's a new handheld.
Oh dear.
It's like the Switch, but it's from the dead. Who am I?
PlayStation Portable.
Old.
Wii U.
We have not seen something
DS.
from this company. We've been seeing Nintendo. We have the Switch. We have the Portal 2. It is from a studio that is a company that has not made a console in years. Possibly
Sega's the only one
decades.
I can think of, right?
It's classic. It's one of the firsts.
Atari.
Yes.
What if
they
they
Atari
make it?
Console? It's like
What
a
is
Switch.
it?
It's like a Steam Deck.
It's just an Atari Switch?
Yeah, there's a new one. It's from that same guy that I told you about, Grant. But yeah, apparently they're making a new console.
Bruh. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. What is this? Why do they have sauces? I'm on the Atari website. Meet the creator behind the Atari sauce. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that's completely separate. That's not an acquisition, but it's the same idea. We just don't think about these people, but they're still doing stuff. But it's again, yeah, I definitely don't want Disney buying Sega.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Especially
Disney
for
has
the
not been
movies.
great.
Oh my god. But yeah. What any other big acquisitions? I feel like the FromSoftware.
There was the Ubisoft one that we wanted to mention.
Oh yeah.
Tencent.
What is it? Tencent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know we've talked about this in past episodes. I can't remember the name for the life of me, so just go back. You'll probably see one of their logos in the title or something. But Yeah, Tencent wanting to buy Ubisoft. There's been no further word on it recently. I think the consensus is it depends on how this next Assassin's Creed game goes. It releases in about 30 days, I think. So we'll have to see. If this launch goes terribly, they're probably going to sell to Tencent. However, if it actually does well, then they will probably keep trying to make it on their own.
It all depends on what changes they made in this delay, because that's definitely why they did this, because they're going to make some changes. But I can tell you one thing that's going to really hurt it, and that is PlayStation. Their Ghost of Yotei.
I don't know. Like, I get your point, and I see what you mean. However, they are very different games. Like, yes, Ghost of Yotei is a Japanese game where you do kind of play as an assassin, but, like, it is very different, not only in its style choices, but also in its gameplay. Assassin's Creed, not only does it contribute to the story of Assassin's Creed, which is what most people are in it for, but it also is a little bit, I know it's not cartoony per se, but it's very polished. It's a very polished looking world. Everything is clean. Like, yes, there's like blood and gore, but it's still like clean blood and gore, if that makes sense. It doesn't look dirty. It's not hyper realistic in any way, as opposed to the Ghost of Tsushima and Yotei. Like, those are very hyper realistic games. They are trying to be realism Japan, and so they are different audiences, I would think. I do get what you mean, though. I do think, depending on how this goes,
but I think specifically with just what I saw with Assassin's Creed Shadows specifically is just how people weren't happy with a lot of changes with Japan's history and stuff, whether it's true or not, because I'm definitely have seen conflicted ideas on that, on like different characters. I think it's just the fact that Ghost of Tsushima was good and we're getting a sequel, and so far we have not heard positive things about Shadows.
Yeah, I mean, I also want to mention, though, Shadows is not meant to be historically accurate.
I know it's
right?
not.
Like,
it's absolutely not.
That was far lost in the past of Assassin's Creed. In the olden days, yes, every game was meant to like fit in and kind of make sense logically with the Assassin's Creed timeline. But now, to this point, it's gotten to a certain... It's gotten to a spot where they can't really fit it in, because with their sci-fi elements, they've gone way too far. So I think they've kind of let go of that a little bit and are allowing themselves to take creative liberties with the kind of dramatized versions of history they have. They even said in the statement, when people were complaining about the samurai in Shadows, they said that it's not meant to be historically accurate. They're simply taking inspiration by this real world story, but the character is going to be completely original. They are not going to be trying to adapt this guy's life. They are going to be making an assassin character based off of this concept of this person being in Japan at this time, you know?
I think the problem is, though, you're giving too much credit to gamers. They see bad samurai, and they see good samurai. They choose good samurai. Good samurai game. Completely different, I do agree. But, like, realistically, like, I don't think people are gonna care enough. My other problem with it is, generally, PlayStation games are a little bit more polished, whereas if we look at Ubisoft, like, what was it, Outlaws?
I mean, they claim that's the reason for the delay.
That's what, like, that. Yeah, that's what they claim. But I think from all the claims about the game, they might be changing it. But I just remember the one scene where they said Star Wars Outlaws is great, and then they fell through the map.
Yeah,
and then they said never mind. So, like, I think that's another problem, that even if it is a different game, people are just losing faith in Ubisoft, and they just have not had good launches. Look at XDefiant. There's many things we could talk about that, but specifically how long it took for the game's netcode to be playable. And that was what, their biggest launch ever for Ubisoft? Or something, like, it broke some kind of record. So it's like, I'm just worry that, like, unless it is flawless, Ghost of Yotei will absolutely hurt it significantly. Same thing with, like, Marvel Rivals versus Overwatch. Like, I do think they are different games, but I think they're similar enough that it is hurting the other one. Sometimes that can be good because it could be polished, but for games like this, you can't make enough changes in Ghost of Shadows to really change it. Something like Marvel Rivals, you can make enough changes to like combat the other person because it's live service. This one's not live service. You can't change.
I think the
plot.
real pain here is going to be the exclusivity, though, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Yote is not releasing on PC as well, is it?
Yes. Yeah. No. It will be exclusive.
Console.
So
I think that's going to be the thing that makes the difference here. Is we're not quite to the point where everybody has a PlayStation yet. It's getting there. Like I said, with the FromSoft thing. If they buy FromSoft, we'll probably be at that point. But right now we're not, and I know a lot of Assassin's Creed players are on Xbox as opposed to PlayStation just because of some of the benefits of being on Xbox right now. But I think if it were launching on PC as well, maybe it might actually take down the game. But I think it's at a point right now where, because Ubisoft's one is launching on all three, whereas is it what company is making Yote? Is it that just PlayStation?
Yeah, Sony.
Just Sony? Okay.
Yeah.
Because Sony's is just releasing on PlayStation, I don't think it's as big of a threat to it as it could be. So I don't think it's going to take it down. I think it'll impact its sales.
But I do think it'll hurt. I don't think it's going to be like a thing. I think what will kill it is the game itself. Like the lag. If it is buggy, again, because at this point, I know it's different because it's not a live service game, so they shouldn't need servers. But at this point, if it doesn't do well enough, could they take down the servers? Like, are they going to survive? Because they have been hit so hard this year with Avatar, XDefiant, and stuff. Like, they're losing studios. Could we get to the point where they take down their single-player servers? I don't think that's how that works.
Like, I know what you mean.
It's not,
but I think that's more of like an Ubisoft
fully...
kind of interweb thing. Like I think Ubisoft themselves would have to shut down their backend for their games to not work. Because all of their single players thus far are playable offline. I don't think there's a single one that you have to be online to play. It's just any of like the extra features, like the cosmetic shops,
I'm
or
thinking
even
like Connect and all that kind of stuff.
Like daily challenges. That stuff might not work.
That stuff I could see maybe being taken down. The game could be still playable, but there's definitely would be some stuff being limited. Yeah. So, this is definitely not the studio that I want to get hit. I don't like Ubisoft, but there's ones I don't like. I dislike more, like Activision. I like Call of Duty. I don't like Activision.
I honestly would hope Tencent would die more with their rip-off Horizon game, you know?
But Ubisoft ain't doing themselves any favors, I'll tell you that much.
Certainly not. And the funniest part is the creators and guys behind it aren't, like, remorseful at all. They're not, like... They're owning up to what they're doing, but they're not sorry for it. They're like, yeah, we made some bad decisions, but it's okay. We're going to keep making them, and hopefully one of them sticks.
Shutting down everything.
Yeah.
We're going to shut down everything, have one studio make the game, and hope it does well.
Yeah. It's like, oh my word.
So overall, there are some acquisitions, but I think we can both somewhat agree that generally it hasn't been super positive.
Yeah. There are ways to make it more positive, but they're not kind of in that headspace right now. So we'll have to see. If people decide to uprise and have them make changes, then changes could be made and benefits could come. But as of right now, things are kind of on a downhill slope until, people wake up.
I think with the Game Awards that just happened, I think what I've seen this year more than some other years is it feels like there was some less indie games that really, not even just Game Awards, just throughout the year. I'm not saying there wasn't any, because there definitely was. There's a whole indie tab, but I feel like, for example, like Amanda the Adventurer, I didn't hear about as many big games like that in 2024. And it's, especially from the Game Awards, like I didn't see as much big stuff. It's a lot of, like, we did miss talking about the one person that made a way to find jobs if you're laid off. So respect to that guy. But again, that's from big corporations. That's another problem, big corporations.
Completely random thought, but I know this is probably going to make us go a little bit over, but I don't know if you know about this. Back in 360 ages, there was, I want to say like a program Xbox put on that I think it was called Xbox Arcade or something like that, where they gave funds and I think team members, maybe not team members, probably just funds, to certain indie developers to allow them to include their game in Xbox Arcade, but they gave them funds to help develop it as well. One of my favorite games, Dust, was actually a part of that. But you can actually go back and see all of these different indie games that I don't know if Xbox actually bought them or not, because some of them are like on Game Pass permanently. I'm not sure, but if we had something like that for indie games from these big companies, that would be awesome. Like imagine Xbox and Sony both had like indie developer spotlight programs that they gave funds to these games that aren't out yet, that are still being developed, that allowed these people to make teams, or even if they chose to keep developing it themselves, it gave them a little more livelihood and time to do so. Imagine all the amazing indie games that would come out of that, and we'd be able to play them on these awesome consoles at like super high graphics because they were given the support that
like
they needed to develop.
That like super high, like we can get high definition because we can use Unreal Engine, Unity, all this kind of stuff. Now here's an idea. I don't know, like, as I've followed game developers and stuff, there's a lot of events where it's like you have to develop a game in like 5 hours or something, right? Mm-hmm. What if they hosted an entire thing, and what they do is the first, second, and third place winner can then develop a game on the Xbox or PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like here's a big one, we're hosting it, you all have it, like it's free, or you know, however it is, we'll give you $1,000, you have 2 months to develop a game or something, you develop it, and then the first, second, third place, which is, I don't know how we decide that, but we decide that, and then they can make a fuller game. Maybe they get a small like 2-3 people to help, and they get like $50,000 or whatever it be, and then they make a game, and then we get an indie game, and that is added onto Game Pass or PlayStation Plus.
That'd be awesome, and I think that's the perfect way to support indie developers and kind of keep them more into space. Yeah, especially in a day and age where they're buying all of these smaller studios. I think that's a great way to keep these indie developers not only popping up, but keep them thriving in a sense.
Well, there you go. After a Debbie Downer of episodes, we got a little positive at the end. Now, here's the problem, JJ. Here's the problem. I'm going to bring us back down to reality.
Okay.
Will that happen?
No, because it makes sense.
It makes sense. That's our catchphrase. I'm Dr. Zombrain.
And I'm JJ.
And this is not going to happen. Goodbye.
Bye.